Love isn't exciting. It's work. What if I told you that what most people call love isn't actually love at all? It's a sugar rush, a high. That heart-racing, can't eat, can't sleep obsession, that's infatuation, and it burns out fast. Real love, it's slower, quieter, and honestly, a lot less sexy, but it lasts. Think about it. Falling in love feels like slipping on ice. You didn't do anything, it just happens. But staying in love? That's climbing a mountain barefoot, in the rain, carrying both your traumas in a backpack. Alain de Botton says it best in The Course of Love. Love is a skill, not just an emotion. That's huge. You're not just feeling something, you're learning it, practicing it, like piano or plumbing. And here's the kicker. Real love shows up in the boring stuff, in doing the dishes when you're mad, in apologizing even when you're technically right, in listening, really listening, when your partner is telling you something that doesn't even interest you. It's not thrilling. It's not a rom-com, but it's real. You might be chasing that constant spark, thinking love should always feel electric, but that's not love. It's instability. Real love is built, brick by brick, over time. And yeah, it's work, but it's meaningful work, the kind that carves character. So if you're looking for a forever connection, maybe stop asking, who excites me? And start asking, who's willing to work with me? Because once the fireworks fade, and they will, what's left isn't a feeling, it's a choice. And that brings us to the next uncomfortable truth. Why chasing passion leaves you empty. You ever notice how fast we get bored in relationships? One minute it's fireworks, the next, it's just Tuesday, and suddenly you're swiping again, chasing that next hit. That's not love. That's addiction. We're not in love with people. We're in love with the feeling of being in love. Society trains us to worship the high. Movies, music, even TikTok. It's all about that intense spark, the dopamine rush, the can't stop thinking about you madness. But here's the brutal truth. Dopamine isn't intimacy. It's novelty. It's your brain getting drunk off newness. And when the buzz fades, which it always does, you think something's wrong. With them, with you, with the relationship. But nothing's wrong. You're just sober. The philosopher Fromm nailed this decades ago in The Art of Loving. He warned us. Most people confuse the falling of love with the standing in love. We chase the moment we fall over and over again, instead of learning how to stay. That's why so many people bounce from one relationship to the next, each one a hit of emotional Red Bull. Here's the kicker. Passion isn't sustainable. Intimacy, the real kind, comes after passion, after boredom, after the silence, when you're sitting on the couch, saying nothing, and still feel safe, seen, chosen. So ask yourself, are you chasing connection or just chasing a chemical? Because if you're always searching for a spark, you'll never build a fire. And in the next section, we're going to talk about why so many of us were never taught how to love in the first place. Fromm's warning, love is a skill. Here's the wild part. We spend years learning how to succeed in a career, school, training, internships. But when it comes to love, we just wing it. No lessons, no tools, just vibes. And then we wonder why our relationships keep crashing. Fromm, in The Art of Loving, drops a truth bomb that most people still haven't caught up to. Love is a skill, not a feeling, not fate, not chemistry. a skill, something you have to learn, practice, and get better at, just like painting or cooking or playing guitar. But we don't treat it that way. We treat love like it's supposed to magically work if you've found the one. Spoiler, that's a lie. Think about it. Imagine someone saying, "I want to be a great surgeon," but never studying anatomy or picking up a scalpel. You'd laugh. But people do that with love every day. They say, "I just want someone to love me," but they've never practiced patience. They've never studied conflict. They don't know how to listen without defending. They've never faced their own baggage. Fromm argues that we approach love with consumer mindsets, always looking for the best deal, the most exciting partner, the one who gets us without needing to explain ourselves. But love doesn't work like Amazon Prime. You don't get love, you do love. Actively. Daily. And here's the punch in the gut. Most people fail at love not because they're broken, but because they were never taught. So if your relationships keep falling apart, maybe it's not about finding the right person. Maybe it's about becoming the right person. Next up, we're diving into how our culture completely misrepresents what compatibility even means and why it's sabotaging your love life. The consumer myth. Swipe, love, repeat. Modern love looks a lot like online shopping. You scroll, you swipe, you pick the one that fits your aesthetic. And the second it doesn't feel perfect anymore, you return it. Or worse, replace it. We've turned relationships into products, people into profiles, and intimacy into a transaction. This isn't just a modern glitch. It's a cultural pattern that's been brewing for decades. As capitalism crept into every corner of life, it reshaped how we see love. Historically, relationships were built around survival, family, or duty, not dopamine. But now it's about optimization, about getting the best deal. Philosopher Zygmunt Bauman calls this liquid love, where connections are loose, flexible, and disposable. If a partner no longer meets our needs or makes us feel alive, we don't reflect. We upgrade. We treat people like apps. If it glitches, delete it. Try the next one. And this mindset, it breeds impatience. The second boredom hits, or conflict arises, we assume the relationship is broken. But boredom isn't a red flag. It's a stage. A signal to dig deeper, not to bail. Fromm warned us about this too. He said we confuse the object of love with the capacity to love. In other words, we think finding the right person will magically fix everything, when really, we haven't trained ourselves to love anyone properly yet. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The more we treat love like a purchase, the lonelier we get. Because no one will meet all your needs perfectly, all the time. So the next time you feel that itch to swipe again, ask yourself, am I looking for a person or chasing a feeling? Coming up, let's unpack one of the most damaging myths in modern relationships, compatibility, and how it's been totally misunderstood. Real love threatens your ego. Real love isn't just about finding someone, it's about facing yourself. And that's why it feels so damn uncomfortable. Or even boring. Because here's the thing no one tells you. Love, when it's real, doesn't flatter your ego. It threatens it. It asks you to listen when you want to win. To say, "I was wrong," when your pride is screaming, "Hell no." To be seen, fully seen, without the curated version of yourself you show the world. And that kind of vulnerability? That's terrifying. Most of us don't want love. We want validation. We want someone who makes us feel good about who we already are. But real love? It challenges who you could become. It holds up a mirror, and not the flattering kind. It shows you your impatience, your defensiveness, your fear of being known. That's why people say things like, "the spark is gone," or "we grew apart." What they often mean is, "I didn't want to grow." Because real love requires growth. It forces you to stretch your tolerance, expand your empathy, and soften your sharpest edges. And yeah, sometimes that feels boring. Not because the relationship is dead, but because your ego isn't being constantly stroked. It's being worked on. Quietly. Daily. As Fromm put it, to love somebody is not just a strong feeling. It is a decision, a judgment, a promise. It's a practice. And practices don't always feel exciting, but they build something lasting, something solid. So if love feels a little uncomfortable, maybe that means it's finally getting real. Next, we'll tackle the myth of effortless connection and why waiting for it might be the reason you keep ending up alone. Excitement addicts can't love. If you're addicted to the high of falling in love, real intimacy is going to feel like a letdown. Harsh, I know, but true. Because here's the deal. Excitement addicts can't love. Not in any lasting way. They crave the rush, the butterflies, the late-night texts, the drama, the newness. But love that lasts? It's not a roller coaster. It's more like a quiet rhythm, steady, deep, sometimes even a little mundane. And for thrill seekers, that feels like death. Eric Fromm draws a powerful line between immature and mature love. Immature love says, "I love you because I need you." Mature love says, "I need you because I love you." See the shift? One is about consumption. The other is about commitment. Excitement-driven relationships burn fast and burn out. The moment real intimacy starts to grow, it gets uncomfortable because true closeness exposes you. It asks for honesty, patience, and emotional regulation, not adrenaline. And a lot of people mistake the absence of chaos for a lack of passion. But love isn't meant to keep you stimulated. It's meant to keep you connected. That doesn't mean it's boring. It means it's real. There's a difference between emotional fireworks and emotional safety. One fades, the other builds. So if every relationship starts hot and ends in ashes, maybe it's not them. Maybe it's the addiction to novelty that's killing the roots before they can even grow. Up next, we'll dismantle the fantasy of effortless compatibility and why it's one of the most seductive lies our culture keeps selling. The power of boring. Stability builds depth. Let's talk about something no one wants to admit. Boring is powerful. We're so wired to crave intensity that we've started treating stability like it's some kind of failure. But here's the truth. Real depth needs calm. It needs consistency. Predictability. The same way a tree needs steady soil to grow roots. You don't build a forest in a wildfire. Think about it. The most successful partnerships in history, political alliances, creative duos, lifelong mentorships, they're not based on constant thrills. They're built on trust, on reliability, on showing up again and again, even when nothing exciting is happening. Especially when nothing exciting is happening. Take a moment and imagine a mentor who changes your life. Was it because they gave one inspiring speech and disappeared? Or because they were there year after year, pushing you, supporting you, holding you accountable? That's the kind of love that changes people. But in dating culture today, we confuse stability with stagnation. If there's no tension, no spark, no drama, we panic. We say something's missing, but often what's missing is just your addiction to chaos not being fed. Fromm reminds us, love is an active power. That means it grows in the space you make for it, not in constant distraction. Safety isn't the absence of passion. It's the foundation that makes deeper passion possible. So next time you're tempted to label something boring, ask yourself, or is it finally safe enough to go deeper? And now, let's take down one of the most dangerous love myths of all, the soulmate. Strategy over chemistry. How to love consciously. Let's get one thing straight. Chemistry isn't a strategy. It's a spark, not a blueprint. And if all you've got is sparks, you'll keep lighting fires that burn fast and leave you standing in the ashes. Real love, the kind that lasts, takes strategy, conscious effort, discipline. Not in some rigid, joyless way, but in a way that says, I choose to build this. Every day, start with active listening. Not nodding while waiting for your turn to speak, but actually hearing them, feeling them, dropping your defenses. Most people don't listen to understand. They listen to respond, or worse, to win. Mature love flips that script. Next, self-discipline. That means staying when it's hard. Saying no to short-term thrills for long-term depth. Resisting the urge to chase novelty every time things get quiet. Because that itch for something new? It's often just your ego running from real emotional work. And here's a big one. Learning how to pause. Not every conflict needs a reaction. Not every silence needs to be filled. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is wait, breathe, stay. Fromm reminds us that love isn't something you fall into. It's something you stand in. You build it with awareness, with patience, with actual tools. So stop asking if there's enough chemistry. Start asking, do I have the skills to love someone on purpose? Because conscious love isn't passive. It's powerful. It's what happens when two people decide to stop chasing the feeling and start creating the foundation. And now let's confront the most seductive myth of all. The idea that there's just one person out there who can complete you. The lie we're sold about romance. We've been sold a lie. Not just a little white one, but a deep, sticky, cultural one. And it's everywhere, in movies, songs, Instagram captions, even self-help books. It whispers that love should be magical, effortless, meant to be. That if it's real, you'll just know. That the right person will fix you, read your mind, and never, ever bore you. Sound familiar? That's the myth of romance, not the reality of love. And it's messing us up. Rom-coms show couples meeting through some quirky accident, falling in love in 3 days, fighting once, and ending up in each other's arms under a sunset. That's not love, that's screenwriting. On social media, couples flex highlight reels, surprise vacations, steamy selfies, anniversary posts drenched in hashtags. What you don't see, the hard conversations, the therapy, the emotional labor. Even self-help culture gets it twisted. Some of it teaches you to raise your standards so high that no human can meet them, or tells you to cut off anyone who disrupts your peace without asking if maybe that discomfort is the work of real growth. The result? We end up chasing a fantasy, not a partner, not a life, a fantasy. And when real love shows up, messy, flawed, sometimes quiet, we think we're settling. We panic. We leave. Fromm warned us about this. He said love requires humility, effort, self-awareness. But the romance myth feeds our ego, not our capacity to connect. It makes love about getting, not giving, about being chosen, not choosing. So here's the wake-up call. If your idea of love was shaped more by Netflix than by real relationships, it's time to unlearn. Because the truth is, no one's coming to complete you. And in the final section, we're going to talk about what happens when you stop chasing and start becoming the kind of person who can truly love. Rethink what you're really after. So ask yourself, what are you really after? Is it the thrill, the attention, the validation, or is it something deeper, something slower, harder to name? Because here's the truth. Real love will bore your ego, but it will feed your soul. It won't always feel exciting. It won't always make you feel special. But it will invite you to be seen, fully, honestly, without performance. That kind of love doesn't chase fireworks. It builds firewood. It doesn't post perfect pictures. It shows up when you're sick, tired, insecure, or just human. And maybe, just maybe, what you've been calling love was really a distraction, a way to avoid the quiet work of connection. The kind that asks you to show up, to stay when it's not fun, to love without needing to be constantly entertained. It's not glamorous, but it's real. So if you're tired of the cycle, the swiping, the highs and crashes, the emptiness after the dopamine fades, then maybe it's time to stop chasing romance and start practicing love. Real love isn't found, it's forged. And the person you become in that process, that's the real reward.